fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration, and today back into 6-day counts. I know y'all love this stuff, so we're gonna finish this book eventually. I'm on page 85 of it. I have not been in it for about the past 6 weeks. Had a lot of other stuff going on, so we're going to get back into it. We're going to finish this thing. Next Sunday, I will not be here. I'll be in Brooklyn, and the CLC is doing that national training, and so I'll be part of that. I will be back Monday, so I'll have an episode Monday. We're going to cover a lot of stuff. It's going to be a salted peanuts. Got a fantastic 1-hour office time template I took off of Facebook. And I'll give those people props. They didn't say I could use it, so they can call me and tell me that they didn't want me to use it, but I'm going to use it because it's very good. We've already put several up, had several episodes about the 1-hour office time. Anything I see that will help us, I'm going to use it. I'm going to steal it. All right, so it's a very good template. I just read it from top to bottom. Very good stuff. A lot of it we've already covered, but it's very good. So anytime I see something like that on the 22-minute load time, those things that Renfro has unfortunately signed into existence because of his ignorance, I'm going to put these things out there, okay? 1-hour office time is something that we should have attacked nationally when it first came out, when those metrics first came out. The same thing with these stationary events. When those metrics were first announced, we should have attacked it nationally. They have no idea how to fight it. Renfro says he doesn't believe it's a national level grievance. That shows you his ignorance. The reason you fight it is because you will get language. Win or lose, you will get language that benefits you. That's just how it happens. If a national arbitrator rules against us, he will put parameters on that. He will put guidelines on that, what they cannot do. And so he may say, hey, he does not feel that it's a violation for them to watch us, but it is a violation to make it a hostile work environment by continuously coming up to us, questioning us about things when they're obligated to go to the street and watch us in accordance with our, Section 134 of the M39 handbook. So you would have gotten something like that. We will attack this when I'm Director of City Delivery, but they've made it difficult for us because they didn't do it when it first came out. And it shows you the ignorance of Renfro and Barner that they didn't attack it. But anything that comes out, we're going to address it, all right? And I promise you we will attack it as soon as I get in there. That'll be one of the very first things that I do is we're going to go on the attack on these things from day one, all right? And so 6-day count, I'm going to read 1 hour, and then I'll be done with it. So next Monday, I'll be back, okay? And we're going to go over a bunch of stuff. I've got a lot of screenshots. I've told people that I would talk about certain things, and I'm not going to do it this Sunday. I will do it next Monday. It's going to be a long edition. It'll be the salted peanuts. All right, we're going to get into some World War II stuff. I'm a World War II fanatic, and so we're going to talk about some generals. All right, and so we're going to tie that into the CLC, and we're going to have a good time of it next Monday. But as of today, we're reading 1 hour. 6-day count. A lot of 6-day counts going on. We're going to keep addressing it. All right? As boring as this may be, we're going to address it. Okay? I love you. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you. Here we go. Section 7. Section 7, route adjustment review requirements. Section 243.6 of the M39 handbook requires management to review the routes after an adjustment has been implemented and make further route adjustments if needed. I'm going to say that again because a lot of times they'll come in and they'll adjust these routes and they'll say that they're 8 hours. The carriers will start doing the route and realize that these routes are 8:30, 8:40, 8:45, okay? And they continuously show every day that they're over. 8:30, 8:40, 8:45, even 8:20. I had those sites where arbitrators generally say 8:15 is kind of the gauge. 8:15, they're going to give them that. Anything over that, they're going to say that they're overburdened, okay? And so go back to that very first episode if you need to get those sites off of there. So here's the thing. Management will adjust these routes and they'll shit all over them. They'll do a core adjustment, crap all over it. And then you'll end up with overburdened routes. You're going to get a period of time to get adjusted to that route. After that, we're going to say that those routes are overburdened. If we come in too soon and say, hey, my route's 8:30, how long have you had it? A week. Well, we're not going to win that. They're going to say, hey, get adjusted to the route. And then if it's still overburdened, then we'll address it. Okay? So I'm going to read this again because this is going to be a big grievance for us. Routes that are overburdened after the initial adjustment. Okay? So I'll read this again. Section 243.6 of the M39 handbook requires management to review the routes after an adjustment has been implemented and make further route adjustments if needed. A grievance should be filed if management either doesn't perform the review or fails to come back and make further route adjustments to bring the routes to as near as 8 hours work per day as possible. This is a separate grievance from the grievance you would file at the point of the improper route adjustment. This type of case should be filed approximately 60 to 75 days after the improper route adjustments take place. And that's what we were just talking about. You got to give yourself some time to learn the route, to adjust the route. That way, if it goes to arbitration, an arbitrator will say, well, hell, you just got on the route. How do you know it's overburdened? You hadn't time to learn it. So this says this type of case should be filed approximately 60 to 75 days after the improper route adjustment takes place. For instance, if routes are adjusted on May 1st of 2017, shows you how far back this goes, you should file this kind of grievance between July 1st, 2017 and July 15th, 2017. The reason we are suggesting that you consider waiting approximately 60 to 75 days before filing this type of grievance is because that takes away the argument that a letter carrier wasn't familiar with the newly adjusted route and allows for a reasonable period of time to gather better evidence to show that the route isn't adjusted to as near 8 hours work per day as possible. You will be arguing that management has failed to abide by Section 243.6 of the M39 handbook, which requires them to review the route adjustments to ensure that the routes are adjusted to as near 8 hours per day as possible. In short, you are arguing that Section 243.6 of the M39 handbook requires management to fix what they broke, and that's a great contention. You came in, you broke these routes, now you need to fix them. That's 243.6 of the M39 handbook. The review requirements of Section 243.6 of the M39 handbook are broken down by section on the pages that follow. 1. General requirement to review routes after adjustments. Management is required to review routes after adjustments have been implemented. M39 Section 243.611. M39 Section 243.611. M39 243.611. After the adjustment of routes has been placed in effect, the manager must carefully study and analyze PS Form 3997 or electronic equivalent from a nationally approved computer system that provides equivalent information, PS Form 3997B, Operations Analysis Report, PS Form 1813, Street Management Records, volume recording data, and carrier's time records to see that the objective has been met, especially for those routes where extensive changes have been made. 2. Complete new 3999s. Management must complete new 3999s after route adjustments are implemented. M39 Section 243.613. M39 243.613. When route adjustments or changes are implemented, complete a new Form 3999 to reflect the current authorized route, travel pattern, and schedules, etc. 3. Time record review. Management must review time records to determine if carriers are using excessive overtime or auxiliary assistance to complete assignments. This would indicate that the routes were not properly adjusted. M39 Sections 243.62 and 243.63. M39 243.62 Time Records. Review the carrier's time records for the periods following adjustment. The frequent use of overtime or auxiliary assistance on adjusted routes may indicate that the basis used was not sound and should be examined. 243.63, Form 3997, Unit Daily Record, or PSDS printout. Review PS Form 3997 or electronic equivalent from a nationally approved computer system that provides equivalent information to determine whether an excessive amount of auxiliary assistance is being used daily for the maintenance of schedules on one or more routes. Determine if carrier technicians, T6, and carriers serving auxiliary assistance exceed the time allowed for the routes. And that's the reason that proper data is critical. Anytime you see, like we're dealing with management falsifying, we just went to arbitration here last week. Jason actually came up and did the case for us. Here in Nashville, management again falsifying time records, putting us in for training that we're not doing, putting us in for parcels that we're not running. And so any time of improper data, any kind of improper data affects our route, right? And so management will say, hey, it was an error, or it didn't harm us, or anything like it does. It harms the unit. Anytime you falsify any kind of documentation, it harms the unit. That's another thing that we're going to address when I'm director of city delivery. Any falsification of data, clock rings, anything like that will come to me. I'm going to have an avenue where those things come to me. Those things will not be pre-arbed. Those will not be settled, right? All of those will go to arbitration. That way management can sit in front of arbitrators constantly telling the arbitrator why they falsified things. And their bosses will be notified during the grievance prep. Their bosses will be notified that their constituents are falsifying data, and they will be in arbitration as well. You want to put pressure on them. You want to inconvenience those individuals. We're going to get to the bottom of it. All right. And so from day one, any falsification of data will come to me, and we'll make sure that those things go to arbitration, and they will sit in front of an arbitrator and explain why they falsified that data. Okay. And that's just a little something extra for you. That was free. M39 section 243.64. M39 243.64. Form 3923, Daily Delivery Operations Analysis. Review this form to determine if the unit is operating efficiently. 5. Review Form 1813, Late Leaving and Returning Report. Management must review this form to determine if carriers are frequently leaving or returning late. M39 section 243.65. M39 243.65, Form 1813, Late Leaving and Returning Report, First Carrier Delivery Trip or PSDS printout. Review this form to determine if carriers are frequently leaving and or returning late. Carriers who leave or return late may also be working overtime or receiving auxiliary assistance on routes. In other cases, this may indicate that starting, leaving, and returning schedules are not proper. Also, an indication of possible improper scheduling and or adjustment would be consistent early leaving by carriers. 6. Street Management Record Review. Management must review street management records to determine if carriers are using proper work methods, following lines of travel, etc. M39 section 243.66. M39 243.66, Street Management Record. Review street management records to determine if carriers are using proper methods on the street, following prescribed lines of travel, taking shortcuts, fingering mail, etc. 7. Volume Record Review. Management must use Form 3921 to analyze volume data to determine if an unusual increase or decrease in volume has occurred. And this is going to be one of the ones that we catch them on all the time. You always know how it is in 6-day counts, even though we don't have the flats we used to. You'll be able to use this one more than likely in your station because during the 6-day count, you will never have any volume. You will never have volume. And so volume record review, management must use Form 3921 to analyze volume data to determine if an unusual increase or decrease in volume has occurred. M39 section 243.67. M39 243.67, volume record data. Review Form 3921 to determine whether there has been unusual increase or decrease in volume which would affect the carrier's performance. 8. Further route adjustment requirements. If the routes are found to be out of adjustment after the review, Section 243.682 of the M39 Handbook requires management to readjust the routes. M39 243.682. If the route is found to be too heavy, relief should be granted, and conversely, if found to be light, work should be added. If the carrier frequently uses overtime or receives auxiliary assistance, determine if the route is in adjustment or if the carrier is not serving it efficiently. A special inspection may be in order. 9. Retain Forms 1840 in the unit. One copy of Form 1840 for each route must be retained in the delivery unit. M39 section 243.7. M39 243.7. Disposition of Forms 1840. Original of Forms 1840 should be sent to the office of the manager in charge of delivery service and one copy retained at the delivery unit. Section 8. Forms Descriptions. This section is dedicated to giving you detailed descriptions and advice on how to read the various forms. Reports and screens used in this traditional 6-day route count and inspection and adjustment process. Each form, report, and screen description includes an example. These forms, reports, and screens all have one thing in common. Once you learn how to read one of our examples, you'll be able to read every one of the same type of form, report, or screen you will ever see. PS Form 1840B, PS Form 1838C, PS Form 1840, PS Form 1840 Reverse, PS Form 3999, 3999 Audit Trail Report, 3999 Data Capture Summary Screen, 3999 Function Analysis Screen, Carrier Optimal Routing, that's core, Existing Route Summary Report, Adjusted Route Summary Report, Allied Time Report, Territory Transfer Summary Report, and Route Relations Summary Report. PS Form 1840B. The example we will use in this description is below. You may find it useful to pull this page out so you can refer to it while reading this section. And unfortunately, you can't see it. So it's the 1840B. And so it's going to tell you how to read it. The purpose of the 1840B is to develop a daily street time average for each route based on an 8-week time card analysis. The first 7 weeks are taken for months prior to the route count and inspection, excluding June, July, August, and December. The method for selecting the weeks to be used is explained in section 242.323 of the M39 Handbook. The 8th week will be the week immediately following the completion of the route count and inspection. An exception occurs when the regular carrier doesn't work any day during the week after the inspection. In this limited situation, no 8th week is used. These 8 weeks are totaled and averaged for each day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Then a final street time average is calculated. Once calculated, the average daily street time from Form 1840B is compared to the average daily street time used during the week of route count and inspection on each route. The 1840B, time card analysis, and 1840, week of inspection, street times are shown on Form 1840. However, you should look behind the numbers shown on Form 1840 in every case. We're going to walk you through our example form for Route 55064 and explain how to read a Form 1840B. This is a 4-page form. Page 1 contains instructions for filling out Form 1840B. At the top of the page 2, you have a block for the post office and the delivery unit. Reading from left to right, the next lines list the route number, the carrier's name, the period used, and the date. The form you are looking at shows this Form 1840B is for Route 55064. The letter carrier's name is B. Smith. The period of time used is May 16, 2011 to May 6, 2012. This form was completed May 10, 2012. Note, be cautious. All the daily entries to be totaled are in military time and hundredths. When you get to the average line, time is converted from military time hundredths to minutes. I'll read that again. Be cautious. All the daily entries to be totaled are in military time and hundredths. When you get to the average line, time is converted from military time hundredths to minutes. Next, you have several columns. The first column is called Day of Week. This column shows the date and the day of the week. The next 3 columns deal with office time. You have begin, leave, and office time AM. This shows what time the letter carrier came to work, what time he/she left the office, and how much office time he/she used in the morning. On the form you're looking at, the first entry is Saturday, 5/14/2011. Letter carrier B. Smith began work at 7:75 or 7:45 and left the office at 9:30, 9:18, for a total office time of 1 hour and 55 clicks, or 1 hour and 33 minutes. The next column on Form 1840B is called Return. This is the time of day a letter carrier punches back in from the street. The next column is the street time. This is the elapsed time from the leave column to the return column minus half an hour for lunch. On the example above, you can see that letter carrier Smith returned to the office at 15:52 or 3:31 and used 5:72 or 5 hours and 43 minutes hours of street time on May 14th. The street time column is one of the most important columns on the Form 1840B. This shows how much street time was recorded for the route each day during the 8-week time card analysis. This figure does not include street auxiliary assistance. Do not confuse the actual times record for the carrier B. Smith on a given day with the times that appear in the schedule line at the top of each column. The schedule line on the Form 1840B shows the base times for the route and is not part of the evaluation. The next column is the end time of the letter carrier. This is the time the letter carrier ends tour for the day. This is also used to capture the office time used in the afternoon. The elapsed time between return and end, which is recorded in the next column, office time PM, you can see that the letter carrier Smith ended tour of duty at 1575 or 3:45 on May 14th and used 0.23 hours or 14 minutes of PM office time in our example above. The next column is called Total. This shows the total number of hours worked by the regular letter carrier on the route. Once again, this does not include auxiliary assistance. Auxiliary street assistance has to be added in manually. The computer will not do this. This form shows letter carrier B. Smith worked 750 or 7 hours and 30 minutes hours on May 14th. The next column is called Overtime Used. This shows how much overtime was used by the regular letter carrier on the route. The next column is called Auxiliary Assistance. It is broken down into 2 sections. You have OFF or STR. OFF is for auxiliary assistance in the office. STR is for auxiliary assistance on the street. Another important volume on the Form 1840B is the last column. It is called Delivery Volume. It is broken down into sections for letters, flats, sequenced mail, circulars, and DPS. Oftentimes, you can verify that street time has been excluded from the Form 1840B for a particular day by reviewing the amount of volume recorded. If you look at the full page on the Form 1840B at the beginning of this section, you will see that there are 8 lines for each day of the week. The days of the week are grouped together and referred to as the Saturday group, Monday group, etc. The specific time is identified for each day containing an entry. In our example, there is only data entered for 7 out of the 8 Saturdays. If you see a line with zeros in the begin column and the rest of the line is blank, like 11/19/2011 in our example, it means the regular letter carrier did not work that day. The Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday groups would be on another page on Form 1840B. Each group follows the same pattern as the Saturday group shown below. The total street time recorded for each day is added together to come up with a total number of hours. Once again, this figure is in military time and hundredths. On our example above, you can see that the letter carrier Smith used a total of 37 hours and 69 click street time hours over 7 Saturdays. This 3769 is then divided by 7 for a total daily street time average on Saturdays of 539. This number is then converted into minutes on the average line for the Saturday group street time average of 5 hours and 24 minutes. Take a look at Saturday, 3/24/2012 in the example above. A street time of 3:30 hours and a total time of 5:10 hours were recorded on this day. Now look at the delivery volume on the right side of the example. The volume for 3/24/2012 was as much or more than most of the other Saturdays on this form. There is no street auxiliary assistance recorded for any of the days in the Saturday group. Now look at the street time column towards the middle of the page. You can see that letter carrier Smith worked no less than 5 hours and 48 clicks on the street on the other Saturdays shown here. Something just isn't right. It is highly unlikely that letter carrier B. Smith only worked 3 hours and 30 clicks hours on the street on 3/24/2012. This is especially true when you consider the fact that it took no less than 5 hours and 48 clicks hours of street time on the other days. It is not hard to see that 3/24/2012 should be excluded from the Saturday group. Note, you should closely examine all days on Form 1840B to identify days that management improperly excluded some time or the entire day. You should also identify days that were improperly included that should have been excluded when they completed Forms 1840B. When you see a problem, the best place to start is by reviewing PS Form 3996 and time records. Now let's look at the Monday group shown above. A street time of 393 hours is recorded on 10/24, and a street time of 287 hours is recorded on 11/21. The mail volume on 10/24 is close to normal. You can see this by comparing the mail volume on this day to the mail volumes on the average line. The mail volume on 11/21 includes 503 pieces of sequenced mail and is higher than any of the other Mondays in this group. No street auxiliary assistance is recorded for either day. When you consider that the scheduled street time at the top of this example is 6 hours and 57 hours, it is clear that neither the street time recorded on 10/24/2011 nor the street time recorded on 11/21 is correct. Both of these days should be excluded from the Monday group. This is just another example of why you should closely examine all the days on Form 1840B to identify days that management should have excluded. The auxiliary street time column is added and averaged the same way when there is auxiliary street time recorded. You can see an example above in this time and Tuesday group for Route 64. The trouble is, oftentimes management fails to calculate auxiliary street time with Form 1840B averages. It is particularly problematic in our example form. This letter carrier only worked one Tuesday over the course of his 8-week analysis. It could have been because Tuesday is the fixed day off, or for some other reason. This one day will create the entire average for the Tuesday group, even though there is only one day. If the auxiliary assistance isn't added in, this Form 1840B would be incorrect and the letter carrier would get a raw deal. These situations should be investigated very carefully when reviewing route inspection data. Now you can go to the 4th page of Form 1840B. This page shows the random lot selection made for all the routes in the delivery unit. It then shows the specific weeks used for the 8-week time card analysis. On the upper right-hand side of the page, you have the final average street time for each day of the week, Saturday group, Monday group, etc. These figures are in hours and minutes, not military time. You can compare the time recorded on this page to the times recorded on pages 2 and 3 to see if they match. The Form 1840B you are looking at shows an average street time of 5:24 for the Saturday group. You can go back to the page 2 of the Form 1840B and see that the 5:24 matches the average daily street time shown for the Saturday group. If you look at the Tuesday group on page 2 of Form 1840B, you can see that the auxiliary street time recorded for the Tuesday group wasn't included in the 1840B calculations for Route 64. Once again, Form 1840B should always be reviewed carefully. At the bottom of this page, there is a place for the supervisor to print and sign his or her name after filling out this form. PS Form 1838C. The example we will use in this description is below. You may find it useful to pull this page out so you can refer to it while reading this section. This is the form a letter carrier will fill out every day during the week of route count and inspection except for the day of inspection. It records all the functions performed in the office. On the day of inspection, a manager will complete the form. If a carrier's route is rescheduled for inspection on more than one day, management will still only complete the form on one of those days pursuant to the MOU regarding multiple days of inspection. The information recorded on Form 1838 is taken directly from Form 1838C. It is important for you to get copies of them to verify the accuracy of Form 1838. Form 1838C will identify the post office, delivery unit, and route number across the top of the form. On the bottom of the form, you can see who completed the form, the date, and what day of the week it was completed. If the letter carrier completes the form, you can also see if it was the regular carrier or replacement carrier. There's only one exception to this rule. The form in the example above was completed by Steve Jones on Wednesday, April 25, 2012. However, Steve Jones was the route examiner and filled out the form on the day of the inspection. We will now go over the form so you understand what information is recorded and where. We will first review the mail count line of the form. This includes blocks number 1 through 13. Line 1. Letter size mail is divided into 4 different columns: AM, PM, carrier marked up, and CFS, computerized forwarding system. When a carrier counts and records the mail, AM means before he/she leaves for the street, and PM means when he/she returns from the street. Marked up mail is any mail the carrier writes on. That means if a correction is made on a piece of CSF mail or any carrier endorsement, such as NSN, deceased, or any other notation is made, each piece is counted and entered on the form under carrier marked up. CFS mail not corrected and undeliverable mail within the endorsed bundles are counted and recorded in the CFS column. For example, if you have 10 pieces of UTF unable to forward mail and you only write on the top one piece is recorded in the carrier markup column and 9 pieces are recorded in the CFS column. Line 2, mail of all other sizes, also separate columns for AM, PM, carrier marked up, and CFS mail. Line 3, accountable and signature mail includes columns for recording AM accountable mail, PM accountable mail, and marked up accountable mail. Accountable and signature mail is divided into the subcategories of registered, certified, COD, customs, postage dues, and express mail. Line 5, all parcel post over 2 pounds, has columns for parcels counted in the AM and PM. In addition, there are columns for carrier marked up in CFS parcels. Line 6 is for recording all sequenced and collated letter size and or other size mail which is not cased. Line 7A, DPS volume pieces, is for mail sorted in delivery point sequence only. Any other letter mail arrived in the DPS that is cased should be recorded as cased volume on line 1 of Form 1838C. Line 9 is for counting the number of marked up second-class pieces for which Form 3579 is not filled out. Line 10 is for recording the number of pieces of mail with Form 3579 attached. This line is never used because we no longer use Form 3579. Line 12 is recording the number of change of addresses processed. Line 13 is for recording the number of insured receipts returned. Next, let's review the clock ring section of the form. It is located at the bottom right corner of the form entitled Time Clock Rings. On the days of mail count, letter carriers swipe the clock in and out as usual. They will also record those times on Form 1838C worksheet. The clock rings begin at the bottom of this line and continue up from there. Clock rings in this line are the only times recorded in hundredths. Normally, there will be 4 clock ring entries: begin tour, leave for street, return from street, and end tour. The final section is the actual time entries column, which is the long vertical column on the right side of the form. Each actual time entry has 3 separate parts. 1. The left-hand column, the line item for which the entry was made. 2. The middle column, the beginning and end times for each line item. 3. The right-hand column, the elapsed time in minutes for each line item. Time entries for the line items begin at the bottom of the vertical column where you see the words begin here. Each entry has a time for beginning marked B and a time for ending marked E. To the right of each pair of beginning and ending times is a separate box for elapsed time. This for entering the total minutes spent on the particular line item. A list of the numbered line items, each with an explanation, is found on the bottom left of Form 1838C worksheet. To the right of this list is the comments section where the line item comments are recorded. Lines 14 through 19 and 23 do not require an explanation in the comments section. Lines 21 and 22 require an explanation of the function in the comments section as shown below. The explanation tells exactly what office function the carrier performed during those times. Each function is described by line item numbers and words. Line 20 is used for any recurring office functions not listed in lines 14 through 19. Generally speaking, if a letter carrier performs a task at least one a week basis, it should be considered recurring. Any time spent on a line 21 function should be described in the comments box. A few examples are shown in the box above. When making line 21 entries, each one must be identified in the comments section in the following manner. The first line 21 function should be labeled 21A. The next one, 21B, and so on. And here's the examples. 21A, pickup scanner. 21B, throwback case. 21C, retrieve parcel hamper. 21D, safety talk. 21E, scan hot case. 21F, handle collection mail. 21G, 3M and throwback case. Line 22 is a lot like line 21, but the activities it covers are non-recurring. Non-continuing office functions. As stated above, any office function performed at least on a weekly basis is recurring and should not be recorded on line 22. The carrier will not receive any credit for items recorded on line 22. This time will be deleted from the route evaluation. Line 22 activities are recorded using the same method as line 21 entries. Actual time entries are made by the carrier to record the time spent performing them. Each is described in the comments box in the same manner as line 21 entries. Once again, the difference is that line 21 entries count in the route evaluation and line 22 entries do not count. Line 23 covers time spent counting mail and filling out Form 1838C. This time is non-recurring and therefore will be deducted from the total office evaluation like line 22 entries. In the example, you can see that the route examiner recorded verify hold mail as a line 22 function. Line 22 is for non-recurring functions, so the carrier will not receive credit for this time. Handling hold mail is a recurring function and should have been recorded on line 21. Now you'll see a lot of that. Management will always try to steal minutes. Any minutes they can steal from us is a win for them. Here you have the example where they're talking about verify hold mail was a line 22. That means it's non-recurring. We don't get credit for that. We get no time for that. And it should have been line 21 because that's something we do all the time, right? We verify our hold mail. And so in this form, management put it under line 22. So we lost that time for that. Those are things that a good shop steward will look at each one of these forms line by line, minute by minute. And we'll have to catch those things because management's just that damn dishonest. They will steal anything that's not bolted to the ground. That's just how they are, especially these teams. They've been trained to steal time, whether it's on the street, in the office. They're trained to steal from us. And that's what they do. That's the reason it's so important for shop stewards, carriers, yourself. Look at these forms when you get it. Look at these lines and make sure that we're getting credit for every single second. You also notice the carrier was only given 1 minute time credit on line 21 for a safety talk that you know normally takes 5 minutes or so. One way to check it out is to compare the time recorded on other routes for this same safety talk. That's another way that they're going to steal from you because they just can't help but being thieves and liars, right? These are the kind of problems that should be investigated. When something looks fishy on a Form 1838C, the best place to start is to request to interview the letter carrier involved. Note, the accuracy of the information on this form has a direct effect on the office evaluation of a route. It is important for letter carriers, stewards, and NELC representatives to do everything possible to make sure the form is accurately filled out each day. PS Form 1838. The example we will use in this description is below. You may find it useful to pull this page out so can you refer to it while reading this section. The Form 1838 is a daily picture of the data collected during a route inspection. Every day during the count week, there will be one Form 1838 completed for each route. The data that is collected on Form 1838C is totaled and transferred to Form 1838, where further calculations are made. The Form 1838 lists the same data contained on Form 1838C for a route from a particular day during the week of a route count and inspection. It shows how much office time a letter carrier actually used. It is also used to calculate standard office time based on the information collected on Form 1838C. This information is used to identify how many minutes the letter carrier was over or under standard office time for the day. The Form 1838 also shows how much street time credit is given to a route for that day. All this office and street time information is transferred from the Form 1838 to Form 1840 for each route. A detailed description on Form 1840 begins on page 121 of this guide. It is important to review the Forms 1838 for accuracy following a route count and inspection. Pay particular attention to the Form 1838 completed for the days a route examiner accompanies a letter carrier on the route during the week of inspection. We're going to walk you through Route 55064 on the previous page, explain how to read the Form 1838, and show you why paying attention to this report is so important. The top right-hand corner of the form shows the day of the week and the date the Form 1838 covers. In this case, it was Wednesday, April 25th, 2012. The next line shows the post office, delivery unit, and zip code, and the route number. On the form you're looking at, it shows that this Form 1838 is from Washington, D.C. Post Office. The delivery unit and zip code are North Station, and it has the zip, and the route number is 64. To help you understand what happens with the information provided on Form 1838, below is a snapshot of the corresponding Form 1840 from the week of route count and inspection for Route 55064. It is included in the form's description section of this box. Below is the data recorded on Form 1840 for the day of our example. On this Form 1840, you can see that Wednesday was the day of inspection, where a route examiner is with the letter carrier all day. For Route 64, the letter I that is located to the left of the word Wednesday indicates that this was the day of inspection. If you look at Wednesday under column A on this Form 1840, you can see that management has recorded 1 hour and 29 minutes of office time. The standard office time, column B for this day, is recorded as 1 hour and 37 minutes. Column D displays the difference in those two office time calculations as 8 minutes under standard. Column E reveals that management determined the carrier had a net street time used of 6 hours and 14 minutes on this day. Management got these numbers from the Form 1838. The question is, can we count on this information to be correct? The answer is no. You should always go behind these numbers to verify that the information is correct. Oftentimes, you will find management made errors or pulled some other shenanigans. In some cases, you will find both. Now, management is currently sending all their people down to Dallas to do 6-day count training, right? So they've been doing that since the TRAP memos expired. Well, since before the TRAP memos expired. They knew that those things weren't going to get re-upped. So they were down there training their people while we were up here with our thumb up our ass, right? And so in these trainings, they're taught how to steal minutes, how to steal time, how to hide time. And that's the reason it's so important that we go over these forms line by line, because we can catch them. We can catch them because, you know, they're good, but they're ignorant. And so they go through this very comprehensive training. All these lead teams and all that, they go down there for this training, and they're taught how to steal from us, right? And so this is one of the ways. They put us on wrong line items. They hide volumes. They hide times, right? And so we catch them. We catch them, but it takes our due diligence to do that, and that's what this is talking about. Never trust them. Don't ever trust management. Anything they do, you never trust them, especially in 6-day counts, because they are trained how to steal. And that's just who they are. That's what we deal with. So this is telling you how to catch them stealing. The following is a description of how the numbers on Form 1840 were generated, beginning with the recording of mail volumes. See the example of Form 1838 above. Cased mail volume is recorded in lines 1, letter size mail, and 2, mail of all other sizes. These numbers are taken directly from Form 1838C. There are separate columns for each time of day when a category of mail may be cased. A, router and or prior PM. B, today AM. And C, today PM. There are also spaces to record the number of markups and CFS pieces the carrier had for each mail type. On line 1, letter size mail, in column B, you can see that the carrier had 110 letter size pieces to case. The carrier marked up 6 letters and sent 12 more letters to CFS. The 18 pieces of CFS and marked up mail are deducted from the 110, and the total is recorded in column D, which is 92 letters in this example. The standard time is calculated for the letter size mail by dividing the original 110 pieces, the carrier case, by the standard of 18 letters per minute. The results are always rounded up. If less than a whole minute, so 7 minutes is recorded in column F. You can see there were 5 carrier markups and 5 CSS letters recorded in the Today PM Volume C. On line 2, mail of all other sizes, in column B, you can see that the carrier had 359 pieces of all other size mail to case. The standard time is calculated for mail of all other sizes by dividing the 359 pieces the carrier case by the standard of 8 flats per minute. The results are always rounded up, if less than a whole minute, so 45 minutes is recorded in column F on line 2. Accountable mail is recorded on line 3. In column C, you can see the carrier had 12 pieces of countable mail and marked up 1 piece. Now this will be different for us because our president sold us out on certs in the DPS. He refused to take that nationally. And so we lost that. It's an office function that we lost. You know, management is in the business of stealing our office time from us. Everything they do is trying to steal office time. And unfortunately, our president has agreed to let them do that, and then reduced our fixed office time in the office. Right, it went from 33 to 20. That's what he's attempting to do to sell us out. And so a lot of these things are changing because we have a dumb fuck in as a president. Okay. Anyway, line 4 is for calculating strap out time. The case volume is totaled and all markups are deducted. The resulting 482 pieces are divided by the pull-down standard of 70 pieces per minute. The resulting 7 minutes credit after rounding up is recorded in column F. These standard casing and pull-down times are added to the times recorded on Form 1838C for lines 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, and 21, plus 5 minutes for line 20. 5 minutes is always automatically credited for line 20 in order to calculate the standard office time. There are other standard office time credits, such as 1 minute for every 10 pieces of all classes of mail separated for forwarding or return, including CFS, markups, and UBBM. 1 minute for every 4 pieces of mail actually marked up by the carrier. 2 minutes for each change of address recorded. You may notice a bracketed number adjacent to the times credited for certain line items. These numbers are bracketed to indicate that the time actually used by the letter carrier on this day was less than the base minimum time for that function. When standard office time is calculated, the carrier will receive credit for the base minimum time even if it is more than the actual time used. However, if the carrier's actual time is under standard, she only gets credit for the actual time used. All these office time credits are totaled in minutes in line 24. The minutes are converted to hours and minutes and recorded in the standard office time box found in the middle in the right side of the form. In this example, there were 90 minutes of AM office time and 7 minutes of PM office time for a total of 1 hour and 37 minutes of standard office time. The letter carrier's total office time actually on this day was 1 hour and 31 minutes. The route examiner recorded 2 minutes of non-recurring office time, line 22. The carrier's total office time is reduced by those 2 minutes on Form 1838, resulting in a net office time of 1 hour and 29 minutes. Note, you should review Form 1838C to investigate if any and all deductions taken under line 22 were proper. There is no line 23 time recorded on this day. It was the day of inspection, when the route examiner completes Form 1838C. Remember, the letter carrier always has the right to verify management's count of mail on the day of inspection. In this example, the letter carrier did not exercise his or her right to do so. Recording the wrong mail volume, recording it as the wrong type of mail, or not accurately recording everything that happened each day can result in an office time that does not represent a fair evaluation of the route. If you go back and look at the 1838 again, you can follow the right-hand side of the form straight down almost to the bottom, and you'll come to a block that says total street time. This block shows that letter carrier Smith actually spent 6 hours and 32 minutes on the street time during the day of inspection. Pay careful attention to this section. Management is most likely about to steal 18 minutes of street time from letter carrier Smith's route. The Form 1838 shows 18 minutes was recorded as waiting street time in the next block as shown on the right side of this page. This 18 minutes was then deducted from the actual time used to arrive at the net street time used of 6 hours and 14 minutes for this day. 6 hours and 14 minutes will transfer to Form 1840 as shown below. So the 18 minutes has just vanished into thin air. This 18 minutes of times will not reappear if territory from Route 5564 is transferred to another route. This time is gone forever unless we investigate and take the appropriate action to have the time put back. Note, any deductions of time management makes should be fully investigated. Review Forms 3999, 3999X, examiner's comments, tax employee everything report, and interview the carrier to determine what really happened. Now I'm going to stop right there. That's an hour. But where they're going to steal all of our time, 99% of the time they're going to steal is on waiting street time. That's where they're going to steal all of our time. And you'll have, like on my station, we had a carrier that was 45 minutes. They took off his route. We got it back, but they just took 45 minutes loading his vehicle. Loading his vehicle on the street, mail from the back to the front. Separating his markups. All this stuff they just stole from him. And that's how they do. They're dishonest as the day is long. I continue to say that. I'll always say that. But they try to steal. And that's how they will do it. You've got to pay attention to that waiting street time. Look at that every single day. And they will have the WTS, waiting street, or WST, waiting street time. And they'll have a minus 12, minus 30, minus 40. That's the time they're stealing from us. And so you've got to make sure you investigate each second of that and make sure we get it back. We can get it back. We just have to catch it, right? We got to catch it. So there's you some more 6-day count. And if it wasn't helping, I wouldn't do this because this is boring as hell to me. But a lot of people always comment that they listen to these over and over again. As long as one person listens to that, I'm going to keep doing it, right? Because as long as it helps one, I'm going to keep doing it. And so I do know that y'all listen to the 6-day counts. They're painfully boring to me. I hate nothing more than reading for an hour. But anyway, there you have it. Some more 6-day count. And we'll continue on we still got a bunch left in this book. And so I'll continue to do that, all right? All right, next Sunday, like I said, I'll be in Brooklyn. The CLC's having that national training we're going to do. I'll be talking about 6-day counts, minutes, saving minutes, and that's what I'll be talking about. We're going to have some other individuals there that are going to be doing some educating as well. And so next Monday, I'll be back. All right, next Monday, I'll be back, and we're going to do some salted peanuts. Got a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of screenshots. People that have asked me to talk about different things. I'll talk about those next Monday, all right? Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. I love each and every one of you dearly. I really do. I cannot wait to be director of city delivery so that we can go on the offensive and y'all be proud of your union again. And y'all come in and singing and celebrating that your union is kicking the shit out of management, and they'll be in the office all day worried about grievances and going to arbitration, and they won't have time to fuck with us like they always do, okay? That's a promise from me to you. That's a promise from me to you. And that will start on day one. We'll go on the attack, and we're going to go on the offensive, all right? And we're back. We're back. And so have a great week. I'll talk to y'all next Monday, all right? All right, love you. Bye.